Hey Android fans, this is Eric from hollywoodfrodo.com, bringing you the most in-depth Android app reviews. Today I'm going to be talking to you about an app called Folder Organizer. It's been around for a long time. It was one of the first apps I ever bought for my phone a little over a year and a half ago. And the name of it can be deceiving because it's not just about folders. Even when I got it, I already had an app, a free app on my phone that would allow me to create folders. But Folder Organizer allows you to do a lot of other things besides just creating your basic folder. In fact, the reason I found it is because at the time I had HTC Sense as my was my home launcher, and I was looking for a way to have icons on my screen without having labels underneath them, because I just think it's pointless to have a label underneath an icon when the icon pretty much says it all. And there was no way to do that on HTC Sense. So I started looking, and I looked for several months before I found Folder Organizer, which allows you to do that, as well as create folders and scrollable widgets and all kinds of cool things for your phone. So let's hop on my phone so I can show you some of the really cool features of the app and how it works. Here is Folder Organizer right here. First we're going to hop into the app, and I will show you the app itself. As you can see, whenever you open it, it really quickly populates all the apps that you have on your phone. And you have several choices here. You have labels, apps, contacts, search, bookmarks, and shortcuts. So this is kind of your home screen. You can go into any of those directly. If you want to go in to create a new label, you can create a new label. Reload is to reload the apps. You can download labels. You can set your preferences. As you see, preferences, black theme, which is what I'm using. Then your widgets theme. You can enable and disable widgets. You can use custom skins for your folders. And then there's different things you can set for your folders. Close after launch. Folder title, show close button, show configure button, show start button. Now these are all the defaults. Within each folder you can customize these things as well. Notify on new apps. If you do that, then every time you install a new app on your phone, Folder Organizer will pop up here and say, hey, there's this new app. Do you want to set it for a label? I don't have that going because, I don't know, I don't need that. It annoys me. But you can have it if it's something you need. Let's see, you can use inverted colors. You can select the default action on a single clip on an app. So you can choose labels, or you can open. And that's for inside of, when you're actually inside of Folder Organizer. Use quick contacts, only show contacts with phone numbers. That I have because if I don't have your phone number, then you're probably some random Facebook person who I don't necessarily need to contact. So that's the general preferences. You may, if you're like me, you'll set that up once and probably never use it again, because within each folder you can set the folder to be exactly how you want it to be. So if you go into labels, labels would be sort of the equivalent of what you might think of as folders. So for example, I have a label entitled camera, and so if I press there, you'll see these are all my camera apps that I have under that label. Now what's great, if I hit this arrow button, there's a lot of things you can do. You can, if I click to choose, that allows me to choose what I want to include in this label. And so I could choose apps, bookmarks, contacts, other labels, direct call, direct text, direct email, and shortcuts. So you can mix and match. You don't have to just have apps in a folder. You can have apps in direct call, direct text, shortcuts, whatever floats your boat. If you choose edit, you can change the name of that label, and you can choose how you want to sort. Now I like this because there's a lot of different ways you can sort. You can sort by starred, you can sort by the most used, last used, name, or type, which is great. You can also manually sort them if you want to manually sort them. I usually sort by most used in most of my labels. That way the apps that I'm using the most are the apps that will tend to be at the top of the front. Icon. You can select icon. You can select from a gallery. You can also get online packs. Or you can use application icons from your applications. So you can set your own icon for your folder. This is the manual sort, as you see. I could come in here and manually sort what order I wanted these to show up in the folder. You can share. You can go to labels, and you can add other labels inside of this label. So for example, one of my labels is Vignette. And that's a bunch of camera stuff too. So if I wanted to, I could put that label inside of this label, so that inside of this label, or folder if you will, I would have all my camera apps and then my Vignette folder. And I'll show you what that is a little bit later. And then layout. There's different ways you can have the layout be inside of a label or inside of a folder. You can have a grid with icon and text, grid with only the icon, list with icon and text, or list with text. So you've got those options for you. So you can set it up the way you want it, the way that works best for you. And then of course you can delete if you want to delete. Let's see. I don't really use contacts, so these are like all my contacts. Games I do use, and I'll show you two different ways I have that set up on my home screen just to demonstrate it for you. Quick call, so those are like if you want to quick call people. Shortcuts. Now shortcuts are cool because you can inside of folder organizer, like if you're going to long press on your home screen and add a shortcut, or any shortcuts that exist in any other apps, you can access those through folder organizer. So you can add those shortcuts into a folder in folder organizer, which is really cool. And I'll show you in a minute a practical use for that that I created. So you can go back to your home screen and then press apps, or we were in labels, you can just flick over to apps, and then bookmarks, and then contacts, and then shortcuts. So they're all in there. So this is sort of the other way you can do that. I could go to a label and then add the apps I wanted into that label, or I can go to all my apps, I can pick an app, and then click labels and check what labels I want it to show up under. So I could decide, you know what, I think I should have had that in the multimedia. Let me add that to multimedia. And I check that, and now it will show up in multimedia. And you can add it to multiple labels. So if you have 3 folders and there's an app that kind of goes, you want to put in 2 different folders because it applies, you can do that, which is kind of cool. You can also search. If you want to search for an app, you can do that. Like if you're in apps, or if you're in contacts and you have a lot of contacts, you can use the search function. And you can also decide how you want to sort when you're viewing them as well. And so that's basically what you get inside of the app itself. But let me show you a more practical, real world, what this means for you. You'll see right here on this screen, this little box is a widget, and that is a folder organizer widget for my games. I have all my games in there, and if you see, it's scrollable. Now I have this set to be organized automatically based on my most accessed apps. So the games at the top are the games that I play the most, or have played the most up to this point. After most used, it then sorts by last used. So a game that maybe I haven't used as frequently, but I used recently, would also show up towards the top. And then the ones towards the bottom are the ones that I haven't played as much. Now, a scrollable widget, you're not going to be able to do that in all phones. Mostly only alternative home screen launchers like ADW, Go Launcher, things like that will support that. Your standard HTC Sense, not going to be able to do this. At least not as of the last that I heard. Motorola, any home screen that's stock home screen, you probably won't be able to have scrollable widgets. But you can still have this box, and you can just have all of these displayed. You would obviously want to make it a little bit bigger so that they could all display, since you can't scroll. You also, this is a, as you see, I have this as a 2x2. That's not technically an option, but again, because I have ADW, I can resize my widgets. But I'll show you in a second what size widgets are available for Folder Organizer. So it's great. You come in here, and then, you know, if I tap on one of these, it will launch it. I don't want to do it because games take a while to load and then a while to get out of. And then I have a little preferences icon up here. If I tap that, that'll take me into our preferences where I can choose. So you see here, you can choose your custom theme. Use custom theme and then choose, and you can choose whatever you want. So I can use orange. And you can make it scrollable. You can show options button in the grid, or you can show it in the toolbar, or you can hide it all together. You can also choose the layout, text 4 columns, text 5 columns, text auto fit. Because I made a small widget, I choose small icons. And then I click OK. And you'll see there it shows up there. It's got an orange theme to it. Let's see, I'll show you. This is what this would look like if you wanted to do it without. On a normal home screen that doesn't have scrollable, then this is how you would do it. And let me show you over here. I have, this is also games. You see this little Game Boy icon. And when I click that, there are all my games. The scrollable widget I put on there just to show you that that's an option. You can actually have the folder on your screen, and if you have an alternate launcher, scrollable, but I don't want to waste all my screen real estate on the game, so I just have this folder and I put all my games, or this label if you will, and I put them all in there. Another use of these is my camera apps. Now this is my main camera label that you saw when we were inside a folder organizer, and here are all my camera apps. So I took this folder and I added it to as a shortcut to my home screen, and made it so that I have quick access to any of my camera apps. Now this one over here, this camera, this is specifically for Vignette, and that's because Vignette is a great camera app, and it has a lot of different filters that you can apply as you're taking the picture. So a lot of us, we take pictures, just a normal picture, and then we import that picture into Instagram or After Focus or something like that and manipulate it. But this Vignette allows you to take those pictures and have those filters applied as the picture is taken. And what's cool is Vignette offers shortcuts. You can create a certain setup, so a certain filter, a certain megapixel, quality, whatever, and then create a shortcut for that specific setup. And as I mentioned, Folder Organizer allows you to use any shortcuts from any of your apps. So I've created this folder that has specific, and then I took pictures with those setups, and in Folder Organizer as well, you can set icons. So I chose an icon that shows or demonstrates what that picture is going to look like, and if I press one of these, then it launches, because it's a shortcut, it'll launch Vignette with those specific settings. That's what it just did. So that's one of the things I love about Folder Organizer, is the fact that you can set up folders with, or labels folders with your own with shortcuts to any of the apps. Now let's get back over here. I'm gonna remove that. Now let me show you the options here. You can have shortcuts or widgets for folder organizer. Shortcuts allow you to use a folder link or folder item. Folder link is basically a link to a label or to a folder, such as my games folder, such as my camera folder. Folder organizer item will allow you to put on your desktop any item that's in folder organizer. So any app, any shortcut, any contact. What that is useful for is if you do that, let's see, so I say I wanted to put add away on my desktop. Well, I can put it on there, but I can rename it. And I can choose my own icon for it. So that's what's really cool is, and obviously renaming, you can delete all that and it won't have a name underneath it, which again was the reason I originally got folder organizer, was to be able to put icons on my home screen and not have the labels underneath them. So that's cool that you can you could add anything. You could add a contact, but maybe you don't want that person's picture to show up as the contact. You want to use a different icon, so you could do that with folder organizer. If you choose the folder organizer link, then that's where you go in and you choose one of the labels that you've set up for a folder. Now there's also widgets for folder organizer. Under widgets you do have, you'll see you have the same two options for a link or an item. So you have the link and you have the item just like you do for shortcuts. I prefer to use shortcuts for those two things. But then you'll have widgets, 4x1, 4x2, 4x3, 4x4. And that's what you saw before. So if I choose a 4x2 widget, and then I do camera, and then you see I have, now what this is, because this is not a scrollable widget, and with the settings I have right now, all my camera apps will not fit inside of here. It puts a little folder icon there. So what will show up are the apps that I use the most. Whatever apps I've been using the most lately, those are all going to be at the top. But if I hit the folder, then it opens up so that I can get all of them. So that's the way to do it if you're using a stock screen, HTC, Samsung, Motorola, that doesn't allow for the scrollable widgets. You still have access to all your widgets. It's just a different way of doing it. And you can move that options button. So if we click the options, we can change the theme, just like you could for the other one. We'll use blue theme. And let's see, show options button and toolbar, and let's do icon 5 columns. There you go. So now you have the blue theme and you have your icons laid out in 5 columns. You have your options button right here in the corner, and you have your folder to hit if you want to see them all. Okay, so here is a folder, and this is a good example. I chose this icon myself. It's one of the options in here, and these are specifically Christian music stations that I like. And I had these first 3 are apps, but this last one is a bookmark. And that's one thing that I really love, is the fact that you can mix apps and bookmarks. And the reason I have a bookmark to the House FM is because it streams and plays better for me through my Skyfire browser with Flash than what the actual app streams. The quality of the music is better when I do it through the bookmark. So I put that bookmark in there. And that's what's great with Folder Organizer. You can mix direct calls with direct text. You can mix apps with shortcuts, bookmarks with contacts, whatever you want to set up. It's all left in your hands to set up any way you want. So that's Folder Organizer, which is available on the Google Play Market. Again, the reason I love it is because it just allows a lot of customization of how you want to use folders. Whether you want to have an icon that you tap to open the folder, or you want to have some of the contents of the folder displayed on your screen through a widget. It also allows you to mix and match, apps and contacts and shortcuts all together. And even if you're using a stock home screen through Folder Organizer, you can choose your own icons for your apps. You can choose your own labels, or you can choose not to have labels. And that's something that a lot of people want to do, but they can't do because they're using a stock home screen launcher, and you can do it through Folder Organizer. Anyway, as always, this is Eric with hollywoodfrodo.com, trying to bring you the most in-depth Android app reviews of some of the best apps available for Android. If you like my reviews, please click the like button, and if you want to be updated when new reviews come out, then subscribe to my channel. Until next time, this is Eric reminding you that your Android phone is only as good as you make it.